Hidden House Studio Production presents a tour of Tuzigoot National Monument. An educational video of an historic nature for your enjoyment. Filmed entirely on location. Upon entering the park, this was the first glimpse of the ruin. Before going on to the ruins, let's take a side trip down to the Verde River. It is from this river that the Sinagua extracted the vast majority of their water. We now arrive at the Visitor Center, where we will view a collection of Sinaguan artifacts. These jars were very carefully reconstructed from pieces found laying around the ruins. Leaving the museum, we head toward the main trail heading up to the Tuzigoot ruin. This trail is not recommended for people with hiking or walking problems. As we walk around the ruins, let us review some of what we know about the inhabitants that built this complex. It never ceases to amaze me how a people devoid of modern tools and technology were able to construct the buildings on this site. The Sinagua were a society that existed from approximately 600 AD until about 1450 AD in what is now central Arizona. They inhabited from Flagstaff on the north to the Verde River Valley on the south. The name Sinagua was first coined by Fray Marcos de Niza when accompanying Francisco Coronado on his expedition in 1545. He called the mountains near Flagstaff, Arizona, Montañas Sin Agua, mountains without water. In 1939, Harold S. Colton, founder of the Museum of Northern Arizona, applied the name Sinagua to the extinct indigenous society that inhabited this area. Looking back down the ruins toward the visitor center, we get an idea of the size of this complex. The Sinagua were apparently a hunter-gatherer tribe that evolved into an agrarian society that for some unknown reason suddenly disappeared. Imagine, if you can, a rather large group of nomadic hunter-gatherers coming upon this verdant valley with a river running through it, and therefore a plentiful supply of water. Due to the plant life and water, there was probably a good supply of game. Maybe they were tired of wandering and their leaders decided to stop for a while. So about 600 AD, they stopped and started to put down roots. It has been proposed that they wandered away from the Yuma Indians to the south, but we will probably never know for sure. What we are relatively certain of is that they progressed to a point where about 1100 AD they started construction of what came to be a 100-plus room apartment complex. This they built on a limestone and sandstone knoll rising over the valley floor. Much of what you see today is restoration, but observation will show that it is carefully copied from the original construction. The rooms here are mostly constructed without doors, and the entry is from the rooms. Around 13 to 1400 AD, there was a 100-year wet cycle in the area the Sinagua inhabited. This was followed by up to a 100-year dry cycle. It is believed by some scholars that this instigated the decision to pack and leave. There seems to be no evidence of conflict as a reason. We are approaching the observation tower, from which a 360-degree view of the valley is available. It is thought that this also has some ceremonial aspect to the Sinagua. Here we have another view of the lush Verde River Valley. In 1085 AD, the volcano which we now know as Sunset Crater erupted about 75 miles to the northwest of this valley. This probably spread a fine layer of volcanic ash over the entire area, which would have helped rebuild the soil and fertilize the valley. They must have had some skilled craftsmen among them to build walls of this precision and quality for them to live in. As the storm approaches, we get another view of this beautiful valley from the observation tower. Here we look south across the valley from the observation tower. Note the huge boulders in the foreground around which the building was constructed. You can also see how the limestone ridge runs all the way down into the valley. Here we see a group of rooms that were later added on to the southwest portion of the building. Here we see some Hopi craftsmen maintaining and repairing the walls. Thank you for joining me on this walk around the Tuzigoot National Monument. If you ever get a chance to go to Central Arizona and walk around it yourself, you'll really enjoy it. It has a great deal of history of Central Arizona in it. Thanks again.